What comes to mind for me specifically is the law of attraction. Have you heard of this? It's an interesting thing. It's something that, it's been used in terms of, let's say, manifestation, this type of new age idea, right? Meaning specifically this. So the law of attraction itself is a belief or theory that suggests that positive or negative thoughts can attract positive or negative experiences and outcomes in one's life. It is based on the idea that thoughts have energy and that this energy can influence reality, right? We've all heard this before. We've kind of tinkered with the concept. I've never talked about it directly. Everything that we've really addressed in this regard has been very indirect to the law of attraction specifically, but it is something that, maybe it exists. I mean, has anybody had experiences with this as just a human person living in the world and learning and growing and changing and all the rest of the stuff? And it does bring to mind a couple things as I'm thinking about this. And the reason I'm bringing it up tonight is because there's a lot of things happening in not just our realm, as we talked about last night, maybe the multiversal space, white noise, all kinds of really, really just creepy stuff when you think about it, but also the quantum realm. And we did touch on that a little bit last night as well. But the weird part about all of this is, and how this comes together, is with our own consciousness, okay? Our own version of what consciousness is individually. But of course, collectively, because there is a collective unconscious or subconscious or whatever you want to call it, the zeitgeist, or there's so many ways to look at this, that we're sharing the experience, not just as a physical experience, but as a conscious experience together, okay? Now, the weird part when you kind of start to bring all that together and wonder about these laws of attractions, if positive thoughts manifest positive outcomes, things like this, you're sort of asking or even demanding that the universe bring you something, bring you what you expect to achieve, what you expect to get, right? And in that sense, it's strange because, I do believe in this, and it is, some established science that the power of positive thinking, this whole bit, that if you're not positive, then, well, the universe is going to kind of shortchange you a little bit and be like, well, you didn't ask for your fair share, so you're not going to get it, right? And so I don't know. It seems a little bit, karmic, a little bit strange, a little bit just a lot of really odd things with the notion itself. But the thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking of it is not just, let's say, in the realm of consciousness and kind of going back to asking and, asking ye shall receive type of thing. But beyond that, some other really weird stuff going on with maybe our intuition in that regard. And of course, as you know, when we talk about the quantumness of our consciousness and that observer effect, which you kind of touched on a little bit last night as well, is what do we expect to see and what do we expect to come back to us as part of that, right? As that observer effect, the collapse of the wave function, which we did talk about at length a little bit last night. Okay, but the weird part is there's something called, and I didn't know this, there's something called quantum intuition. And it seems like maybe even when you start to bridge the gap and think about these things as, well, what would you call them? I don't even know what you would call them. Manifestations of need, manifestations of want. Does manifestations of greed work? I mean, is this a thing? I don't know. I don't really know because, I'm not trying to manifest greed, but maybe people out there are, and maybe, I don't know, let's say Bill Gates or somebody is manifesting greed. I don't know. And that becomes the weird part of this, because when does this law break down, the law of attraction? And as part of that quantum intuition, how have we known forever, basically, as long as the human experience has been around, that this type of thing does work? And how was it discovered, and all kinds of stuff? There's many, many layers to the idea here. We're going to get to that as we go tonight, because of course that's exactly the point here. But first off, the questions is, number one, have you heard of this law of attraction? Okay. Number two, do you believe this is real? Meaning specifically that you can demand something from the universe, positivity, and get in return positive outcomes, or the inverse, of course. If you're always, dick in the dirt, as they say, pardon my French, and you kind of get, the gutter. It gives it back to you. So, I mean, I don't know. I like to believe that maybe there's some sort of active karmic response and experience kind of happening in the same sense of, well, just being human. But I also wonder if it's something quite a bit different, or not, or something that's been a cheat code, perhaps, that's been figured out a long time ago through other weird rituals. So thinking of those terms all the way around, basically, what do you know about it? Do you believe in this stuff? And is it too new age for you, too woo for you, as I like to say? And I get it, because when you start to kind of deconstruct what the nature of reality might be mentally, just in that philosophical construct, the world becomes a crazy place. It really starts to turn into, okay, so which parts of this human experience are utter nonsense, and which parts of this are more poignant than we ever are allowed to consider? And that's really the question tonight. And do you believe in the law of attraction? Are you able to manifest something by expecting it and asking or even demanding that the universe give it to you? Weird stuff, right? It's a weird one for me, because I do believe in the power of positive thinking, but I'm not so sure you can demand from the universe something and have it provide, right? Ask and ye shall receive. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so a lot of weird stuff with this. And so, of course, it comes with a whole bunch of baggage, of course, as it always does, meaning that there have been articles written on things like this, specifically quantum intuition. I didn't even know it was a thing. But apparently, and here's the layers of questions beyond that, which we'll get into tonight. If we knew about, let's say, this law of attraction as the initial formative human experience, I don't know, let's say 100,000 years ago, you pick your when humans became a thing. You choose the date. We're told it's Homo naledi at 230,000 years or something like this. But I mean, soul and spirit, and I don't know, like it's complicated, of course, because there's too woo for you, and then there's also anthropology and archaeology and all the rest of the stuff. So you decide whenever that date is. But in the formative years of the human experience, way back, the primordial human, it seems like maybe, just maybe, they kind of knew this in some capacity. And maybe even we're trying to manipulate reality through, let's say, ritual. I don't know, you pick your ritual, your ancient ritual that may still be happening today. And maybe this type of manifestation is not just simply the law of attraction and expecting a positive response type of thing. That's maybe the most basic version of this. But what if it gets quite a bit more complicated when you start to think in terms of, what would you say? Maybe like a rain dance, right? That's sort of a Native American trope that's used badly in a lot of movies, right? This whole bit, or a lot of old cartoons, is that if you can do some sort of ritual manifestation as let's say, an addition to the law of attraction, is this stuff possible to also even, dare I suggest, manipulate reality itself? And I don't know. If I had the answers, of course, I would just tell you the answers, and then the show would be over, and then that would be that. But of course, I don't know the answers, and that's why we talk about this together, because there's a lot of wild ways to look at this. But a few things on the docket tonight. Or the ritual manipulation of perceptions, of course, is what I'm calling this, and quantum intuition. And is it possible? So do you believe in the law of attraction? And then is it possible that the ancient rituals that we still do, and this was inspired in part by that weird, remember that thing we talked about a couple nights back with this weird energy, what was it? Energy absorbing device that they created in the shape of a cross and a crescent moon, which seems incredibly bizarre. Very, very, we did this on the show with Matt. Matt's out, Matt in California. And we were talking about all of this stuff in terms of why would they use these sort of sacred geometry or sacred symbols as this technological aspect to draw in energy. Anyway, a lot of wild ways to consider this, and that's part of what inspired this tonight. But I do wonder, is any of this possible? Do you believe in the law of attraction? And how far can you take this in terms of, let's say, actual ritual manifestations? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Let's get a quick word from our sponsor, of course, and which is Jack in Oregon. And we'll be right back with more Trouble Minds coming up. Taking your calls on this. It's a weird one. Like I said, is it too woo for you? Maybe. It might even be too woo for me, and I'm a weirdo. I'm a massive weirdo, even, self-professed massive weirdo and all the rest of that. But some of this stuff, I think, has some legs, and I think some of this stuff may not. And the conversation lies in where that point breaks down, as usual. So let's talk about it. Let's think about it. So specifically, it is, again, like I said, you think positive things and positive things return to you. Sort of this universal manipulation, a cheat code of sorts, right? Something to that effect. Well, like attracts like, as they say. The belief that focusing on positive or negative thoughts, as I said, can attract similar experiences or outcomes. And there's just a quick list here to fill in the gaps. Thoughts become things. The idea that thoughts have the power to manifest into reality itself in some way. Another thing, visualization. And we've all seen this, even in sports and things like this. Phil Jackson, can I say it? Phil Jackson, the actual old school coach of the the Chicago Bulls, when Michael Jordan was there, they used to go through sort of these meditations in pregame, in big moments, visualizing what it would look like when they won the game, or when they won the championship, or when they won their conference, or when they went to the finals, whatever it was, whatever the moment was that they needed, they would sort of all get into a room together and have this meditation style manifestation session where they all imagined what it would be like to win the game, to win the big game. And so they already knew what it looked like, and the universe was there waiting for them, and all they had to do was show up and make it happen. You see what I mean? So does that stuff work, that visualization aspect of this? Other things. This gets deep into the write-up if you guys are reading these write-ups. They're pretty good, by the way. But another one is that gratitude, okay? Meaning that, so if you're expressing gratitude for what you already have, it can attract more positive experiences back to you, okay? And again, who knows? Is this a ritual manifestation of things? Is it, again, some ancient knowledge that has been lost forever? Is it something we realized early on? Who knows? And that's why we talk about this stuff. And of course, belief, the power of belief. Belief itself. Having faith and believing in the process is considered essential for the law of attraction to work. Now, and of course, which is the basis of what it means to be human. What do you believe?